Ika nga ni Nani, magandang morning sa inyong lahat. It's araw ng kagitingan, a national holiday.
Correct.
So join our discussions while you're having coffee.
I'm former Secretary Edwin Lacierda, number 1% sa national survey.
That's Erwin Lacierda, and Nani is
0%.
batiin mo sa...
Araw na dapat nating, game na pala? Oh, sorry. Araw na dapat nating alalahanin ang mga matatapang nating sundalo noon at ngayon. Magandang morning, Pilipinas. Masanto siya kaposad si kayo. Naimbag na bigat tayo amin apo. Nani Agsulod Braganza po. Former President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo's administration.
And we are the Spokes. From the Palace Halls then to our group chats now,
We'll be giving you conversations that will make you think and assess.
so that you could come up with your own personal opinion. And are noted by the spokes today. And Nani, please wake up. The
Okay.
Supreme Court did not issue a TRO on the impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte, but ordered the House to respond to petitions seeking to halt the process. Alam mo, maganda ito. Kasi hindi siya ang Supreme Court hindi nag-issue ng TRO. Remember that we were talking with Congressman Keith Flores?
Yes.
The first decision of the Supreme Court was, for most of the legal community, was judicial overreach. Pag nag-TRO ang Supreme Court at this point na impeachment proceedings, medyo ano na yan, they're sending a signal na
So,
nakikialam sila.
Ako question lang mo. Ano ba yung, bakit nagpunta sa Supreme Court? Si VP Sara o yung mga ibang...
kine-question nila ang kampo ni VP Sara, yung proceedings in the House.
In the House.
Oo. So they're questioning the primarily constitutionality, whatever yung mga sinasabi nilang mga grounds. But alam mo, there's the first case sa impeachment was Francisco versus House of Representatives. That was way back. Si Chief Justice Davido nag-render ng decision. They were very, very particular on not touching on the impeachment proceeding itself. Yung talagang hindi even constitutionality, ang tinatanong na was initiative. They were they had to make sure na we will not encroach on the role of the House in impeachment proceedings or in the legislative branch because it is a separate and co-equal branch.
Okay. Again, I've been there, done that, di ba? And I keep on saying na unang-una, rule of law, due process.
Correct.
That's very important para mabigyan ng integridad yung proseso ng impeachment. Okay?
Correct.
Pangalawa, every Filipino has the right to complain. So kung may nakita siguro si VP Sara na may kamalian, she also has the right to complain in the same manner as any Juan de la Cruz or Juana de la Cruz can seek redress from the lower court to the Supreme Court. The only difference dito siguro is it's a political act in the hands of both houses. So hindi ito yung traditional na sistema ng ating korte. Yun lang. Now, because it's political, siguro doon nagkakaroon ng tanungan kasi may majority, may minority, merong mai-impeach.
Ang sa akin as a former constitutional law professor, wag sana makialam ang Supreme Court dito sa proseso ngayon, no? Kasi kailangan talagang ibigay sa legislative branch ang kanilang mandato to conduct an impeachment proceeding. And it's too early eh.
Yes. I agree with you. I agree with you, Boss Edwin.
And this is the thing that, and I'll tell you this from a political perspective, not on a judicial or a constitutional perspective. The fact that the Supreme Court is composed of 12 justices appointed by former President Duterte makes them bolder to go before the Supreme Court. They will deny that, of course, but politically, lamang sila ron eh. So parang, bugbog sila sa House. Ang Senate, hindi nila alam. So,
Bugbog eh. No?
di ba kaya talagang titingnan nila kung saan kami may poder? And tama naman, swerte sila. May poder sila sa Supreme Court.
This is also my understanding, Manong Edwin. No? Ang role ng House is to investigate, determine form and substance. Ang trial sa Senate, kaya nga the use of the mini trial before, I was very emphatic about it. Although optics naman yon. But ang problema kasi, kung nagkamali sa paggamit ng word na mini trial, but if you're doing a mini trial, then to me, that's overreach. Kaya nga si Justice, yung guest natin, Ascuna, sabi niya, pag lumampas pa yung lower house,
Fishing
sa bagay
expedition.
na yan, it's already a fishing expedition.
That is magandang sinabi niya. Kung nanonood sila nung sa show ni Pinky Webb,
Yes.
the House should really consider the opinion of Justice Asco na huwag kayong lumampas sa inyong mandato. Yan yung importante lang. But sana, you know, the power of the Supreme Court, wala silang they have no, ang power lang nila talaga, legal, legal lang talaga. So we don't want them to overreach na mawala ang respeto ng co-equal branch. Kasi magkakaroon tayo ng judicial crisis. Pag nag-decide ang House, teka, abuso yan, we don't agree with your decision, at tumuloy yan without respecting the Supreme Court, we will have a judicial crisis.
In the same manner, we Filipinos know for a fact na tatlong branches yung ating government. The executive, the legislative, the Supreme Court. Magkakaiba yung papel ng tatlong yon, but is it also true, being a constitutional lawyer, that at the end of the day, it's the Supreme Court that really interprets our laws?
That's true, and
Yes.
that's why they have to be very circumspect. Even if the Supreme Court says what the law is, they have to be very circumspect that
Yes.
their power is only on the power of persuading them of the legal principles.
Yes.
That's why the first decision yung kay Justice Marvick Leonen, medyo umalma ang ang legal community kasi lahat talaga. Most of us believe that it was judicial overreach. But let's see. Anyway, ang kagandahan lang, they didn't issue the TRO, but they asked the House to comment. Okay na yan.
Okay na yan. And as long as there is due process, there is rule of law, there is no reason na bumulik uli sa Supreme Court.
Sana nga tuloy-tuloy
Sana
na yan.
tuloy-tuloy na yung proseso para matapos na rin to. Sa gitna ng crisis na to. Okay? So, also noted by the spokes, President Bongbong Marcos has dismissed rumors regarding his health, showing that he is back to his normal routine. Ito ang akin lang po rito. Huwag natin pagtawanan yung taong may sakit o huwag natin gawan ng maling kwento, imbento. Kasi may sakit nga eh. Hindi naman humihingi ng awa yung taong may sakit. Intindihin yung kalagayan ko.
Tama.
Yun lang. Yun lang ang akin. And that's very Filipino. Di ba? Dahil sa Pangulo po siguro, dahil yung mga politiko, talagang minsan, talagang may given na kalabang ka eh. So nangyayari yun. But sa akin, foul ho yun kasi.
I think yesterday pumunta si Secretary Dave Gomez to the DOJ.
Yes.
Nagsampa yata ng mga kaso or plan to file cases against fake news and false information. I saw a clip of the President talking to Yusek Claire, and in interview nga niya, very casually, yung si President Marcos whether may sakit.
I think I saw it. I saw it also.
I think I agree with Nani that, let's not use any and all issue to just smear whether the President, the Vice President, it's not
Kahit sino naman siguro.
argue on the strength of your case and not invent disinformation. Di ba? So we'll see. Again, naging seryoso si PCO. Talagang kakasuhan na and all fake news will be legally sanctioned with up to 6 years in prison. I really, there's freedom of speech, but I think there should be there are limits to the freedom of speech.
Hindi ba sapat yung cyber libel na kaso?
Hindi nga. Alam mo yung
Kaya na
cyber
ba yun? Or this is another?
I don't know what they filed, but the cyber libel case, just to let you know, was done during our time.
Okay.
May cyber libel law. See, I
Gusto
remember,
niyong ipitin yung
naging
mga kalaban
debate,
niyo.
galit sa amin ang tao. Kasi nga, ang position, why will you do a libel? A libel already is not something that the constitutional lawyers and the human rights would agree na dapat wala na yan. Sa Amerika, medyo very loose eh.
Yeah.
Pero ang sabi naman ni Pinoy at that time, there has to be responsibly when you have to be accountable to what you put out on the cyberspace.
I'm not sure if it's France. I'm sure about Australia na yung paggamit ng social media or even China, pinagbabawal at a certain age.
Sa Australia, New Zealand yata.
New Zealand,
Australia,
pinagbabawal at a certain age.
Sa China talagang bawal lahat ang freedom.
Di ba taga doon yung mga ninuno mo?
Oo nga eh.
Oo nga. Pero, idya ka lang.
Ija. Buhol naman yan.
Tama.
Anyway,
Okay.
let's hope that. So these are the headlines noted by the spokes today. We'll have a discussion with DTI Secretary on efforts to keep prices of basic goods stable. When the spokes return after this short break. And the spokes is back. Known for her strong business and private sector credentials, she quickly rose to head the Department of Trade and Industry. Joining us is the Department of Trade and Industry Secretary Cristina Roque. Welcome, Secretary Roque.
Welcome po, Ma'am Secretary.
Good morning, Edwin. Good morning, Nani. Thank you for having me.
Ma'am, can't I take the first shot?
Ano?
First shot.
Inom?
First hindi, para mag-thank you sa DTI.
Okay, sige.
Ma'am, I informed you a while ago that our organization, Talipapap, is working with with that agency already via SB Corp.
Yes.
And there will be a roadshow coming May to teach yung mga startup businesses on how to access capital, training, technology.
Nice.
Di ba? And link them to the market.
Yes, maganda po yun. Marami po tayong matutulungan with that. At least kahit papano, there are also private sectors that are working closely with government to make sure na malalaman din ng mga taong bayan kung ano yung mga offerings and yung mga opportunities din po ng DTI or SB Corp.
MSMEs yan?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
At saka po to we buy our supplies directly from the farmers and we sell them at a very affordable price, lower than Balintawak or even the market price. Dito po.
Oh, yun ang
dito
maganda po. I mean, that's also good that we get the information out there para alam rin po ng mga tao that there are offerings and there are opportunities and possibilities such as this.
Ma'am, you do price monitoring, di ho ba?
Yes, we do. In the groceries lang po, in supermarkets, yes.
So, it's on your Facebook page.
Yes. It's in the DTI Facebook page. It's also in my personal Facebook page.
Kasi balak ko tayong
IG
maglagay ng
page,
LED board for price monitoring.
Yes.
Hingi po kami ng donation sa inyo. Yun ang deadly.
Sip! Napapaubo ko! Sip!
Yun ang deadly. Diba? Ma'am, just kidding.
Anyway,
Yes,
It's a very good morning.
Yes.
You are here
just a
po.
backgrounder. You're from the Aldeguer clan?
Yes.
And famous for the basketball play. With the Aldeguer, are you related to the Aldeguer sisters, to the dance Indian?
Yes, dancers.
You are?
Yes, yeah. Yes, yeah. The sisters of my dad.
Oh, grabe. Ang galing sumayaw ng mga yun. Panahon ko pa yun. Panahon pala ni Nani, sorry.
Hindi naman ho 1960s yun. Ano?
Hindi naman, kapal mo
No,
naman.
I'm just asking.
70s, they're famous.
mga
And the
70s.
80s. They were very nimble in dance. No? But, So you also started Kamiseta?
Yes. Yes, right out of college. Actually, just before I finished college.
You know, it was a very common name and yet you were able to establish that as a good premier brand, no?
Kasi during that time, nauso yung mga pangalan na Tagalog or nauso
really?
yung mga, yes, there were like big brands like Sari Sari Store at that
Oh,
time.
right.
Yeah, so madami pong, parang everyone, that was the trend during that time. So, at that time, I just had to think of a brand quickly and I needed to get started.
And
Na
it's still
may recall.
Right.
Yeah, na miracle,
And it still
easy to
exists
say.
today,
yeah.
no?
Yeah, up to this day,
Wow.
it's still existing. Yeah.
So,
Ma'am, you are known as a workaholic.
Really? Who said that?
Siya ho alcoholic. Kayo ho workaholic.
Really?
Yes po. No.
siya babaholic.
Kasi, don't get this wrongly. Siyempre, we check also. We also have friends sa DTI.
Yeah.
Eh, ang sabi po ni Bobby sa akin, mahirap boss yan. Kasi any time of the day, kahit nasaan siya, kahit nasa abroad, tumatawag. At inuutosan kami to do our work.
Yes, yeah.
Pausahan nyo lang ho si Bobby, that's okay.
Yes. That's our kumbaga that's our mandate and we need to make sure that we get the job done. So it doesn't matter what time or when. Basta kailangan gawin yung trabaho, gagawin po namin.
Sabi po kasi nila, you don't work 24/7. You work 25/8. Nagdagdag ng araw at oras.
Sip!
LED board nga. Kulit nito. But
Yes,
that's a
yeah.
common trait na binabanggit po ng mga tao.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
very
So-
well respected sa business sector as well.
How were you appointed as DTI Secretary? Were you a known individual to the first couple or the president?
Actually, it just happened quickly and then parang they said, okay, do you want to? And then I said,
you were
yeah, why
previously
not?
USEC, no? Under
Yeah, I was
Secretary Pascual.
USEC, yes, under Secretary Pascual. Then I headed the MSME development group that was the one that was assigned to me. Maybe because doon ako galing and yun talaga yung doon ako nag-umpisa. So I felt that kahit papano, if there was anything that I could contribute in the DTI, it would be in that sector.
Alam mo, Nani,
That's your first government.
Yeah, my first go. I just took
wow.
a chance.
alam mo, Nani,
actually,
I'll say lang something which I saw because I had some dealings with DTI. She set up this website, marketplace, in DTI where they have all the suppliers
Yes.
nandoon. And apparently, the purpose is to look for suppliers.
Yes,
But
yeah.
since I'm in the fintech business, nakita ko, pwedeng diretsong bumili ang mga buys. Kaya ang ganda ng website niya.
Yes, actually, kasi I noticed
What's the
that
name again?
the DTI
Marketplace.
yeah. Kasi actually, the e-commerce platform is just all retail buy. Usually, one by one, they buy yung
Right,
retail,
right.
parang buying from the regular stores. And then I realized now, what if I'm a business person and I need to buy wholesale and my business is expanding, kaso wala na akong supply, I don't know where to get supplies. And meron naman mga businesses naman na naghahanap ng mga
So
negosyante.
your idea
na
for that
naghahanap.
marketplace was a B2B, business to business.
Only business to
But
business,
it's
yeah.
now, it can be B2C, business to consumer.
Pwede rin po.
Kaya
It can
maganda
be
yun.
B2C, but the main purpose for that is
B2B.
B2B because remember the Shoppees, the Lazada, they're really very strong already. So sometimes you need to find an avenue kung where this
But I'll tell you why
suppliers
it
can
should be a
shine.
B2C. Because there's in Shopify, in Shopee, there's cost eh. Merong platform cost yan, mas mahal sila. So they'd rather see, for instance, a marketplace.
yes,
You
yeah.
don't offer, there's no platform cost apart from what they're selling. So for the suppliers, mas mura sa kanila. And they'll be willing, if you advertise that, it would be a huge
Actually, that's a
blessing.
good idea because we deal only with the manufacturers. We don't deal
Yes.
with the traders. So, marami kasing manufacturers from the far-flung regions that don't have access to the...
And then you cut off the
Yeah,
middleman
we cut
with
off the middleman.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
yeah.
why the
So
price
yes,
can be
we
cheap.
will
Sorry
incorporate
po.
that.
Yung project po kasi namin, ma'am, is the idea is farm to table,
Okay.
farm to market, farm to business. So sa farm to table, I mean, siguro hindi pwede ron, but in the case of farm to market and farm to business, baka pwede ko kayo mag-membro ron.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I'm open to collaborating with private sector kasi iba rin yung strength ng private sector.
And you came
when
from the private
Yes,
sector.
and when private sector and government work together, magandang synergy and it's stronger.
Ma'am, isama niyo na po yung mga advocates.
Yes,
Hindi lang
of
private
course.
sector because the advocates, they do the hard work.
Isang araw, nagsisip-sip ako sa kuba.
Yes, anybody that
Biro
wants to
lang.
collaborate with the DTI and has a vision to really help at least the small and medium, that really helps the community and also grows the family. Important then
Yes,
for a
yes.
family to grow better education,
Yes, yes, yes.
better quality of life, and they also help the indirect industry. So, malaking bagay.
Did you have a difficulty adjusting to government life?
Actually, no, because I really work with excellent people in DTI. In fact, I hardly brought anyone. I just brought my EA and I retained everybody in DTI
see.
because actually, ang gagaling nila. I've never met people that were really dedicated to their job and really excellent at what they do. So
That's
we
good
work
to hear.
very well together.
Ma'am, both of us, we've been cabinet secretaries. And hindi lang qualification ang tinitignan, kundi trust. So being a cabinet member is a position of trust. At saka dapat magaling ka sa teamwork. Di ba? Kasi you have to abide by the rules of, well, basically the president and governance. At the same time, promote the policies of
Yes,
government.
yeah.
So, are you a friend of the first family to be appointed or simply because you're very qualified to head it? Or
Actually,
it's a balance of both?
No, actually, I should say maybe
They
took
saw-
a chance on me, and they'll get my full work, the best that I can give to this job, and also loyalty and trust. They can
Kung
count on
kilala
me
na,
for that.
may laking tiwala, tapos qualified ba, ba't hindi mo naman kukunin, di ba?
Nagtataka nga sa'yo, paano ka nakakuha eh?
Oo nga.
Hawak ni Edwin ang beat. Ma'am, ganun talaga. Nagsasagutan kami ng kanta nito.
Maganda nga, nakaka-relax.
Kung hindi
eh,
po
pag
kayo
ganito
nakaharap, iba yung
interview.
lyrics nun eh.
Meron kaming caution dito, may red light dyan sa harap. Sasabihin kay Nani, bawal magmura. Kaya. But anyway, just going to, we will go into your role as DTI Secretary. We're now in the midst of a oil crisis.
Yes, yeah.
So there are many levers where you can, what are the levers that you can control to help our consumers be relieved of some pressure from increased prices?
Okay, yeah. So first, we have a very close relationship between the manufacturers and DTI and also the retailers, because important for us at this point is to control at least or to keep the food prices stable. So I announced yesterday no price increase for basic necessities and prime commodities, at least the ones in the list of DTI. So we're able to keep the prices stable without any increase until end of April. Last week we announced until April 16, but now we're already until end of April.
Just for that's called the BNPC.
Yes, the
Basic
BNPC.
necessities and
Yes,
prime
correct,
commodities.
yeah.
Could you, for in the interest of information to the public, what do you regard as basic necessities, for example, and also what are the prime commodities that are covered by that?
Okay, yeah. What's covered are the, let's say, corned beef, meatloaf, a lot of food, no? May
These are basic
sardinas, yes.
necessities.
Then, meron din yung Pinoy Pandesal, Pinoy Tasty, coffee, dairy. Actually, malawak po ang,
Yung
malawak
yung
ang
pang-araw-araw na
Then
gamit.
there's
Okay.
also, there's mga condiments, there's also soaps, there's also
Those are the prime
candles,
commodities
also,
naman.
yes,
Like for instance, flour, kasama rin ang
Yes,
flour.
kasama din yung
That
flour,
includes
kasama din yung
vegetables,
salt.
fish.
That one we defer to the DA. So we just follow the directives from the DA. If they need us to support, they need us to monitor, then the DTI is here. Because we have actually regional offices that just does that.
Yeah.
Diba, there's 18 regions. I'm sure you're aware kasi naging cabinet secretary.
Hanggang provincial lang kasi yung DTI, wala sa municipal level.
Yes, nasa province
Hanggang
kami.
province level,
Yes, yeah.
provincial
So, regional, 18 regional
Secretary Roque,
offices,
you were
yeah.
able to inform the public that there's no price increase, but notwithstanding that you haven't even invoked the Price Act or RA 7581, because that one mandates you can freeze prices for a good 30 to 60 days, and you don't have to do that.
No, we don't have to do that. We keep a close relationship with the manufacturers. In fact, we meet on a weekly basis. We
that's-
just met Monday at 5 p.m. and we all agreed to a no price increase across the board.
That's
until-
better.
Yes,
That's better
yeah.
because that applies also to the BNPC.
Yes, to the BNPC, only to the BNPC.
Okay.
The list that the DTI monitors and that enforces
Ma'am,
also.
can I go back to what you mentioned a while ago regarding, I totally agree in protecting the consumers, affordable food,
yes,
despite
yeah.
the crisis.
Yes,
Sana
yeah.
nga, ganun
Yes,
ang mangyari. But sabi nyo, DA yung the ones protecting the farmers, the fisher
Yes,
folks.
yeah.
Is there an kasi importante maprotektahan mo sila eh.
Yes, yeah.
Kasi bumibili rin ho ng pagkain
Yes,
mga to,
correct,
at the
yeah.
same time they're producing our food.
Yeah.
Is there an interagency task force that monitors the status of producers as well as monitor the prices? At saka ano po yung intervention na ginagawa ng gobyerno to reduce the cost of food? Kasi based on our research, mababa ho ang presyo ng gulay ngayon eh. In fact, it's very stable
Yes,
sa
yeah.
farm.
Yes, yeah.
Di ba?
Farm gate price to.
Oh, parang si Edwin, lumaki sa farm. Di ba? But, sa market, mataas eh, yung presyo. Because it's the in-between people that manipulates
The
the
middleman.
prices. And in addition to that, the rising cost of fuel. So ano po yung intervention ng either DTR or if there's an interagency task force to fix this?
Actually,
po ba?
of course, we defer to DA, no? But we also communicate with DA, and he's really also actually monitoring and making sure na to put down the prices. So then we also, I'm the chairman of the National Pricing Council,
okay.
so we can also adopt, let's say, price cap.
But
So,
does that
yun ang mga
doesn't cover the
pinag-uusapan
agricultural products?
Meron, like rice.
Rice.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
now that you mentioned that, Madam Secretary, the President announced that imported rice, ang cap is 50 pesos per kilo.
Yes, yeah.
So,
Actually, that's what they're
Imported
working
po,
on.
imported,
Yeah, yes, that's what they're working on. And DA Secretary announced that we're working on the price cap. So we just have to wait for the President to approve that price cap. But I defer to the DA because he would know really exactly what the decision will be.
Let me commend you one thing. No? You're able to convince the manufacturers not to increase prices because if you invoke 7581 or the Price Act,
Yeah.
the President would have to declare an emergency.
Yes, yeah.
And without an emergency, you cannot do price freeze. But in
Yes.
this case, you didn't have to invoke the law. You were able to convince the manufacturers. And that, how long would be the price freeze on that?
For the no price increases until April 30. Then,
Okay.
but we meet again next week, so we can discuss again. So
And
we
monitor.
really, discuss, monitor, and enforce. So we keep a close relationship. Even before, like when we've had no price increase for quite some time. So they also understand the needs of the consumer. So like a manufacturer sometimes, marami rin po silang produkto. It's not just one product that's in the BNPC. So
Right,
they
right.
have like sometimes 20 products. So maybe for this product that's in BNPC, they probably break even, and then they put the increase in other products.
Pero you're may
Sorry,
price-
Boss Edwin,
sige.
You know, the manufacturers you can talk to, yung price, yung pag-spike ng price kasi, minsan hindi ka sa manufacturer. Maintindihan mo ngayon na bakit tataas because mahal ang langis.
Yes, the logistics cost.
It's on the retail side or wholesale side sa baba minsan nagkakaproblema. That's why when I was mayor po, DTI coordinates with us to monitor prices.
Yes, correct.
Kasama namin silang umiikot sa palengke.
Yes, tama po yun.
Pero more of gentle persuasion.
Yes.
Rather than, kasi in case of an emergency, di ba, iba ho yung magiging tenor ng gobyerno.
Iba.
Yeah, you're able to convince the wholesalers or the manufacturers to
Yes,
to stay the price
Yeah,
should be
stable, to keep it stable and no
But
price
like
increase,
what Nani
yeah.
was saying, you don't have any discussions with the wholesalers and also the supermarkets. So how do we know that? So you mean to say until April 30, the prices we see now will still remain the same?
Will still remain the
The
same.
retail price.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, we also meet with the supermarkets. Yeah. In last week, I met with the retailers and the supermarkets,
Okay.
including the amalgamated
So,
group.
Yes.
so it's not just the manufacturers that
No,
you've
it's
spoken
not.
to. So
Yeah.
when
We
you
also-
say
yes, yeah.
they've agreed to a price freeze or
Yeah.
stable prices, lang,
Stable price.
everyone's
yes,
ano.
No price increase. We also talk to the retailers and the
Let me
groceries and supermarkets.
let me bring up what Nani was saying on the interagency. So there is a whole of government approach, and I want to ask you, do the specific or relevant department heads meet?
Yes, yeah, we meet in Uplift. In fact, I mentioned to you last Tuesday we met also as and we take a whole government approach now to make sure that we get things done. Actually, in the Marcos administration, whole government approach kami talaga. So
It's
we
headed
work
by
very closely with all the other cabinet secretaries.
For instance, in the Tuesday meetings, who heads the meeting?
The chairman, of course, the chair is the
The
president.
president.
Yes, he heads the meeting, and all that are part of the Uplift, DA secretaries there, DOTR, I'm there. We also have DOF secretary, of course, ES Ralph Recto is also there.
I'm not sure if this is
DOE
being
secretary is also there.
It's good that you mentioned that because nobody has mentioned that weekly meeting. So at least we're relieved
More
by the
than weekly. They also coordinate with us. We meet as a group, lately weekly, but we also coordinate with each other on a daily basis kami. Like yesterday, I was with Sec Kiko, so he joined us in the trade show. So we talked about the prices of rice. Kasi sabay partners kami sa palengke. So he also announced about the price cap for the rice. So everything that defers to the DA, of course, siya mag-a-announce because that's in his department and he's an expert in that. And everything that has to do with DTI. But to get things done, nag-uusap po kami. We ask what he thinks, he asks what we all work together. Very strong po ang working relationship namin.
For the people to understand
Yeah.
the role of DTI. Sometimes when you buy sa mga groceries, kasi may nakalagay SRP.
Yes.
So, is it fair to assume that all supermarkets here will abide by yung SRP
Yes, yeah.
based on your discussions with the manufacturers
And the retailers.
and the retailers?
Yes.
But of course, we also understand the fact na Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao ito, 7,000 islands,
Yes, yeah.
yung logistical cost magkakaiba.
Correct. Yes, yeah.
So, for the people to know, let's say, ito sa Manila, piso kasi
Yeah.
malapit, but in the Visayas, for example, 125 ito. And beyond that, pwede mo nang sabihan na, uy, overpricing ka.
Yes,
Does DTI
yes.
do that?
Yes, actually, because all the supermarkets, let's say the ones that we coordinate with, let's say the big ones, SM, Robinsons, Pure Gold, and those that are under the amalgamated, they're all same price in Metro Manila and also in the provinces.
But your persuasive powers of convincing them to remain the prices to be
Yeah.
stable, then how do you, if somebody mas mataas ang presyo, you can't go after them for profiteering, or can you?
No, we can. Basta within the list of the basic necessities, BNPC and prime commodities, list of DTI. So, pag wala sila sa list, we don't have any control and we don't monitor that. Doon lang po kami sa list na 205 products.
Sorry, one last point po. We're talking about supermarkets. But most of our people buy sa mga public and private markets. Na iba-iba ho presyo.
Yes, correct.
So, how do we monitor that? For example, there are known markets na talagang mas mura compared to another one.
Yeah.
Dito lang ho sa Quezon City, huwag ganang lumayo. Then yung Balintawak, yung bagsakan ng produkto rito. The price point in Balintawak at saka sa palengke, medyo malaki ho agwat, 20, 30, 50 pesos per kilo. So, in other words, how do we impose or how do we regulate, how do we convince yung mga establishments, well, majority of the people, di ba, namamalengke ho.
Okay, for the prices in the palengke, we defer to the DA. I think it's best sayang dapat nandito si DA Secretary. He can explain that. Because actually, there's other prices of products in the palengke na bumababa. Because there's a lot of supply. Let's say chicken, he mentioned na madaming supply ng chicken. But I'm not, yung mga ibang products, alam niya yung mga supply nun. But for us, the basic necessities and prime commodities that are available in the groceries and supermarkets, best for the consumers to have that list. Para when they go to the supermarkets or they go to the groceries, alam po nila yung price. If you go to the groceries and supermarkets, nakapaskil na po doon all the list of the BNPC.
But how will the DTI try to sustain a reasonable cap on the prices if fuel prices continue to rise? But before you answer that, that's supposed to return after the short break.
Yes, okay.
The Spokes is back, still with DTI Secretary Cristina Roque. And our hacking question a while ago po is, how will DTI try to sustain a reasonable price cap if fuel prices continue to surge?
Ang important at this point is for us to really keep close coordination and close relationship with the manufacturers. And we will update the people on a weekly basis now kung ano yung naging update namin. It's hard for us to speculate now because of the situation, but it's best for us to keep close communication with the manufacturers, with the retailers, and for us to communicate whatever we discuss to the people para alam din nila.
May mga live comment section, live comments sa mga tanong. So,
Okay, go ahead.
we're live in YouTube, no? From Evelyn Laksamana, pandesal 3 pesos na. Hawak ba ng DTI ang mga pandesal?
We have Pinoy Pandesal that's available in the groceries that are part of the BNPC. So again, no price increase for the Pinoy Pandesal and the Pinoy Tasty. So ma-compare po nila. Let's say they get the list of the DTI. It's available in the DTI website and the social media platforms of DTI, and they can compare. So they see the list, then they go to the let's say the neighborhood bakery, and then they can compare. If they find the price is cheaper in the grocery and they prefer the grocery, it's best for them to, at least they are aware and they have that list. At this time, importante na meron silang listahan.
Ma'am, the international community is saying na hindi na babalik sa dating presyo yung gasolina because of the war in Iran. Nasira ho yung mga refineries. So at best, sabi po nila is the standard price would be in the range of 100 pesos. So this will impact on production. This will impact on transportation cost. So in other words, yung bubang gobyerno ina-anticipate itong problema to para mapaghanda naman ng taong bayan. Because, you know, even after the war, after 3 months, 4 months, yung presyo ganun pa rin. Tapos nagera, bakit mataas pa rin yung presyo? Because that will be the lingering question ng taong bayan. Diba? At kung hindi nakikita yung gobyerno na gumagalaw, may impact yun. So, in anticipation of this, because pinagsasabi na ho what is the plan of DTI to inform the people about prices now and future prices, if ever?
Yes, actually, those are the discussions also in our meetings. No? So once we come up with a plan on what to do moving forward, then we will inform the people.
Anecdotally, you know, we're very pleased that you mentioned that prices will be stable and the manufacturers agree to that.
Yes, yeah.
But how do you really, when you go into a discussion with them, how do you do? Are they really say, sige, we will just accept the stability or may kunting back and forth yan?
Hindi naman. Actually, we just hear them out and then we just request from them kung kaya and maganda yung pag-uusap namin.
You're trying to balance
we're trying
consumer
to balance.
protection and the private
Correct.
interest.
And
di ba?
nakakaintindi din po sila. We all understand the situation and we all understand the side of the consumer. So, if they can give, why not?
If you don't mind, if you don't mind me asking, when you talk to them, do they mention a certain margins that they need to protect? I mean, we cannot go lower.
We're not yet in that.
Talaga?
Yeah, we're still in just keeping the price stable for
the
now.
fact that they're able to say yes to you means medyo maganda pa yung margins sila notwithstanding mataas ang presyo.
Maybe that also, and they're really cooperating also, and they also know the situation now. So maybe that's also their part of really making sure that the consumers get the prices na
But that's
stable.
where Nani was saying, pag nag-stable na yan, there's going to be a back and forth na.
There is one country now in the Middle East who is earning more despite the fact that they are selling less oil. Because price hike eh. So nilimit yung supply sa merkado, may impact sa buong mundo.
Yes, correct.
Now, in a worst case scenario, at talagang hindi masama ang mangyayari sa gerang ito, how will you also incentivize the business sector, the mediums, micro, medium, small enterprises to benefit the consumers and the producers?
Actually, what
What
you're
type of
saying is really
incentive
possible, no? Actually, for now, we've launched a lot of loans. Last March 11, 12, and 25, we've launched 3 kinds of 3 or 4
This is
new
DTI
loans.
po.
DTI SB Corp. Because
Yes.
SB Corp is under DTI.
For the MSMEs?
Yes, for the MSMEs. Number 1 is we have the OFW negosyo funds because we realize ang dami na expatriate na OFW.
Yes.
So if they want to get into business or they are already into business, yung pamilya nila dito, they can loan up to 5 million, no collateral, and 1 year, no payment of principal and interest. So we give them a year to get...
May nag-avail na ba?
Yes, meron. We already awarded, actually, there's 10. So we already let out 2.5 million pesos and ongoing pa rin. Then we have Women Enterprise Fund. We set aside 2 billion pesos also to encourage double income in a family. So if the father is working in an office, then the mother can get started with the business sa bahay. Or can get into business. Or if they're into business, women-led, women-owned, and women who want to... So we set aside. The same again, up to 5 million, no collateral, and then 1 year, no payment, principal and interest.
But
Then,
what if you consume the entire 5 million? Is there any fund that you can bring?
the 5 million is for the business. But what we set aside is 2 billion pesos. For
2
the
billion
OFW is 2 billion peso fund. For the Women Enterprise Fund is 2 billion pesos. Then we also have the MSME Business Fund, which is 4 billion, which we just launched 2 days ago.
Secretary Roque, we had a USEC Rasul from...
Ako naman pagtanungin mo.
Hindi, kasi
Ano ba nakakain dito?
relevant lang kasi.
Yeah.
They never mentioned that DTI is providing loans pala for OFW. It's good that you mentioned that.
We just actually, we launched it with Secretary Hans because may 500 at that time, 500 expatriated
Yun.
OFWs.
So that's an added
So we have that.
Maganda.
Then we have the MSME Business Fund. So
Magkano
4 billion pesos po. Up to 5 million, no payment,
That's good.
no collateral, and 1 year, no payment of principal and interest. And the Export Business Expansion Fund because we see the growth now in export. So we set aside 3 billion pesos for this. Again, no collateral, up to 5 million, and 1 year po, no payment of principal and
Ma'am,
interest.
itong krisis na to, na wala tayong kinalaman, may tama ho sa atin. But you mentioned about the overseas Filipino workers.
Yes, yeah.
So, 1 million in the Middle East.
Yeah.
If that war worsens, wag naman po sana, knock on wood, di ho ba? In anticipation of repatriation, gastos ng gobyerno
Yes,
yon.
yeah.
But DTI is preparing, hindi sa repatriation what they will do when they are in the country.
Yes, what they're doing.
That's what you're saying.
Yes, yeah.
Now, don't get this wrongly po, hindi ko naman sinabing kailangan habulin. The minimum wage now is this much. Wala pang salary increases. But the living income, as determined by government, is 1,200 per day. Malayo pa nga ho yung minimum wage versus the living income. So, what formula are we using para magkaroon naman ng komportableng buhay yung mga OFW dito at yung mga Pilipinong nandito because of this crisis? What more or less should be the income of ordinary families? Huwag kang humirit.
No, actually for this, this is not under the DTI. We really
Yan ang
need to
sasabihin ko.
discuss this among all of us. No? We need to...
Dole kasi yan eh.
Yes, yeah.
No,
This is
in as much as I
under the
understand it,
DOL.
kasi may programa kasi sila that will provide capital na walang collateral. But you expect, of course, na maging successful yung business,
Yes, yeah.
magkaroon ng return.
Yes, yeah.
Kaya I was asking kanina, kung hindi cabinet level, interagency na nag-uusap-usap by clusters.
But
Economic cluster, security cluster.
Yes.
Ganun lang.
The problem kasi
that's why I was asking.
that's really not the purview of the living wage that you're mentioning. It's really dole. In fact, right now, there's a bill in Congress, national,
No. The reason I
wage.
mention it kasi, because it's a given fact na wala pang salary increases.
Correct.
Naghihirap tayo, tumataas na ang bilihin. Ang sagot ng gobyerno, subsidiya. But your program is different.
Yes, our program
Loan.
is
Di ba?
to encourage
Naintindihan mo yun, ha?
Kumbaga targeted ang targeted
Yes,
targeted to.
targeted siya.
Correct.
sa mga
Very
negosyante.
specific sa
Correct,
OFWs.
Right.
Kasi yung mga OFWs, Filipinos, nakadepende yung buong pamilya sa kanila dito sa Pilipinas.
Correct. Pero a lot of them po, may mga negosyo na dito. Ha?
Yes.
There's a lot of them that, especially
I
their
do
children
agree
or
with
their
that.
wife, that they are into business. So the more now they need to strengthen the business, especially kung na-expatriate. But for some OFWs that are still in their respective countries, then they can also avail of the loans actually.
No, sorry po if I'm asking questions not related to your department. But again, sabi ko nga sa kabinete pinag-uusapan to. Pangalawa, in response to the crisis, may anticipation. So, normally may mga small groupings na nag-uusap, 'di ba, to discuss the problem, anticipate yung problema and project.
Yes.
Yun lang ang tinatanong ko.
But
Yes,
what are you're talking about price freeze, no? What are the products or sectors na medyo mahihirap i-regulate ng DTI, if any?
For now, we are concentrated talaga on the BNPC.
So talaga, it's
yun talaga ang doon kami naka-concentrate to keep it stable, to make sure that at least for now, no price increase. So our people get prices that they're used to, not increased prices. And we need to monitor it and strictly enforce in case the need arises.
Okay. So
Actually, I don't want to even think about long-term vision because we have no control about this war.
Yes, yeah.
So it's very tactical, but the impact could be long-term. Diba? Yun lang ang diferensya ko noon. So I hope government does forward planning in anticipation of the possibility of the long-term effect ng ating gobyerno. Yun ang nangyari po ito. Yun lang po.
I have to bring it back, sorry. Critics say your Christmas 500 pesos Noche Buena was out of touch. How did this affect you? This is a tough question for you. How did this situation, medyo you got a lot of flack for saying this, no? But how did this affect you personally?
Basta ang importante for us is to move forward and to really make sure that whatever the programs of the DTI and whatever the opportunities and possibilities that we can give to the business sector is tuloy-tuloy lang po. So, we just move forward and really make sure that we get things done. Exports, 2025 were the highest since the beginning of time under the Marcos administration. January, we increased again our exports by 7.9%. February, we hit an all-time high of 8%. We're very strong in the semiconductor industry, also in the minerals, also in the automotive parts. But we've seen a lot of strength in the agriculture products. Double-digit po ang growth ng agriculture products. So we're really pushing the stars now, the coconut, the pineapple.
The high-value products.
Yes, the different kinds of coconut product, coconut milk, desiccated coconut, virgin coconut oil. And we are also seeing new stars like ube, calamansi. So doon po kami nakakoncentrate. And we try to give funding to the MSMEs or even to the different businesses
Do you
that
export
are
avocado,
focusing.
by the way? Do you export
Meron
avocado?
din, yeah. And bananas pala, I forgot. So doon po nakikita yung strength. And the Marcos administration will also go down in history as the most free trade agreements. So we are waiting to conclude the EU FTA, the Canada FTA this year, and the Chile FTA.
Also, you got 3 free trade agreements for signing na?
conclusion and then for signing next
okay.
year. So that will be a game changer for a lot of our agriculture
We will
products.
open up
And
markets,
yes, we will open up markets. So the world now is our market. So dapat nakafocus tayo doon. So yun ang direction ng DTI, Foreign Trade and International Investment, Consumer Protection and Fair Trade, and MSME Development.
Ma'am, if fuel prices continue to surge to, let's say, 200 pesos per liter, at ito po, hindi ito drawing, sinasabi na ho ito, ha?
Yeah.
And it might not go back to 60, but 100. Will BNPC measures be enough to stop basic goods from following suit?
It's hard for us to speculate now. Basta for now, no price increase until April 30, and we will continue
yun ang
to update the public for any changes or any updates.
But another tough question for you. Are you've been looking at price caps, and that's one of the levers that you can do. Are you looking at temporary subsidies for small businesses affected by operating costs?
Actually, for the other departments, they have some subsidies like the SWD and so many other departments, no, depending on which industry they focus on. So,
I think that your financing
so whole government
collateral
approach for us,
free
yeah,
is
collateral
very good.
free and
Yeah.
1 year period, no payment of principal and interest. So we're giving them 1 year, enough time to really grow and push the business.
Ma'am, nalilito lang ako, pero hindi naman po kasalanan kasi because your mandate is limited to certain commodities and certain services. Is it possible that in this crisis, DTI will be the designated agency? Isa lang. Parang isa lang yung nagsasalta. Di ba? To talk to the people para may assurance sa taong bayan na may leader labas sa presidente. Is that possible?
Actually, we haven't spoken about that.
But
we
technically,
also have,
Nanis, you already mentioned you're the chairman of the National Pricing
Oo nga,
Council.
Yes, but we have
Very loose.
not spoken about that. We need to discuss that in the uplift and in the cabinet.
And I think Nani would like to have just one head also touch on agricultural products because that's his advocacy.
I can at least bring that up in the meeting, and then we will discuss it from there. Then I'll inform you whatever the update will be.
Parang walang unsolicited proposal lang ho yun. Based on experience, lalo siya matanda kasi.
Final tough question. What should consumers and businesses expect from DTI?
Of course, they can expect that DTI is here to support them as best and as aggressive as we can. They need to go to the different regional offices. We have 18 regions across the country, and we have 1,344 negosyo centers. Marami po kaming opportunities, possibilities, and a lot of offerings for them. If they want local distribution, we can provide the market access. They want global distribution. We have 29 trade attaches all over the world and 21 DTI offices. They hold the opportunities, and we make sure that we get things.
I want to ask
One final point po, bago po kami mag-thank you.
Thank you.
Kasi Konoy, is DTI willing to go into memorandum of agreements or understanding with advocates like ours, di ba? To directly help the farmers, protect the consumers, and to push the products sa merkado.
Yes, actually, we do a lot of MOAs, no, or MOUs with other private sector or even other departments.
Mabuti mo, tinanggap niyo po yung kayo mag-ground break doon sa talipap-up namin. So,
Yes,
they
I
will do
will
the
be
MOA
there.
signing
Yes,
there.
of course, yeah.
Diba? Okay.
Maraming
We'll be there.
salamat,
Yeah,
Secretary
thank you,
Roque.
thank
Kunan
you,
ng
Edwin.
oras. Ang very interesting
Thank you,
discussion.
Nani.
Salamat po, ma'am.
Thank you for having me.
Keeping price stable and supporting small businesses is no easy task for DTI. But this is not just about controlling prices. It's about building public trust, strengthening MSME resilience,
and ensuring that economic policies benefit the many and not just the few. I'm former Secretary Nani Braganza po.
And I'm Edwin Lacierda, and we are
Boy Pandesal.
the spokes